The Flash movie has had its advanced screening, fan screening, and the fans have spoken about the movie. Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. You can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. Smash the like button if you love me. Subscribe if you're new. Please have your say. A very warm welcome to Tuesday's edition of the DC Universe Daily. On today's show, we react to the fans reacting to the Flash movie. Yes, there's been an advanced screening in the United States. There's going to be more advanced screenings in IMAX around the 12th of June as well. If you're in America and interested in experiencing it early on IMAX, you can do. And I'm going to give you a non-spoiler review of the Flash movie as well, based on the very early test screening that I went to. So that's a difficult decision because obviously there's a big difference between an early test screening and the theatrical cut of a movie. But considering there's been an advanced screening that everyone's giving their opinion on the movie, I've decided to do a non-spoiler review on today's DC Universe Daily. And if that's not enough for you, I've re-ranked my top 5 DCEU movies, including the Flash movie. Where will it be in my top 5? Will I go reactive and have it at number 1, or will I be a lot more honest than that? Anyway, the fans have spoken about the Flash movie, and most people are utterly positive. They have loved the experience of going to see the Flash movie early, calling it a brilliant movie, some calling it the best DCEU movie ever. I kind of file those types of reactions in the bin. I mean, look, a lot of those people are going to have the Flash movie at number 1 in their new rankings for the DCEU, but I'm not that reactive. I'm a bit more balanced than that. I don't like to say best movie ever because I think that's just reactive. So I'll let you know where the Flash is in my top 5, my new re-ranked top 5 of the DC Extended Universe. But the reaction from the fans after this advanced fan screening have been utterly positive. A couple of people have said, listen, it's not the greatest movie ever, but it's thoroughly entertaining, it's emotional, it's great, I had a good time with it. Then a more balanced kind of reactions that I can kind of believe. It's very difficult to trust people who have just come out of the cinema, hyped on popcorn and sugar, you know, the lights are off, the sound is loud. It's a great way to watch a movie. Going to the movie theatre is the only way, the best way to experience a movie, isn't it? So I can understand people's hypes. No, I don't believe they're lying. I believe it's the excitement, it's the adrenaline. So we've got to be careful here. So I am going to give you my view of the Flash movie. So let's go. First of all, I want to make some things abundantly clear, just in case this is your first time on the channel. And if you have slipped into the channel, please subscribe. We're here every day with the DC Universe Daily, updating you with all the DC Universe news from James Gunn's universe, talking about the old DCEU, talking about all types of DC movies, if there's not much news going on in the DC universe, and of course, if there's anything going on with DC Elseworlds, the Batman 2, the Joker Folie à Deux, the Joker 2, you'll get updates on them. This is your DC Daily Show. So smash subscribe, smash the like button, and join the family. Everyone is welcome to have their constructive opinions as long as you're polite. You don't abuse me, but especially you don't abuse other subscribers and other people, consuming these videos. Let's be respectful to each other. So just in case you don't know my view on the Flash movie, not as a movie, there's one thing for me to say certain things that I don't like that went on during the production and their kind of decisions they made in adapting the Flashpoint comic book. So, first of all, I'm not happy that they reversed engineered and swapped Flashpoint Superman for Flashpoint Supergirl. I think that's utterly wrong. That's not an opinion on Sasha Calle's performance. We'll get into her performance as we get into the non-spoiler review. I think it's a dumb idea and it's very current day. I also don't like them subtracting the Amazonian Atlantean war between Wonder Woman's people and Aquaman's people. Now, Jeff Johns' graphic novel Flashpoint has that great element in it. It is not in this movie. I also don't agree with that. And look, there's lots of problematic situations with this film. There's Ezra Miller's conduct in the real world. Whatever I say about their performance in this movie, it doesn't mean I approve of their conduct. So let's start with Ezra Miller's performance in the Flash movie. Whatever people say to you, you can't say that Ezra Miller isn't a good actor. Ezra Miller is a great actor. I mean, I would like to see him in some performance putting on an accent and being less Ezra Miller, and I don't think we've really ever seen that. I would like to see that element of the person's acting, but in this film, the actor has a lot to do. Basically, he's playing more than one role in this film. That's a big challenge for any actor. I can tell you that from personal experience. Ezra Miller portrays Barry Allen in a really highly emotional, relatable way. He does a really good job as Barry Allen. He does an excellent job as the Flash. He does an excellent job as a young boy that's lost within his own soul. This is a boy whose mother was murdered. His father's in jail for his mother's murder. This is really hard for anyone to deal with. And, you know, Ezra really does portray that element really, really well. And, the emotional kind of qualities of this film really pay off in a big way. So Ezra Miller's performance is absolutely really beautiful, heartening, and emotional. Ezra Miller is very good. Always been a very good actor. And there's no question about that. You don't have to approve of Ezra Miller's antics, controversial antics in the real world, to say they're a really, really good actor. There is no question, you've heard a lot of things about this being a Batman movie. This is not a Batman movie. In the Flashpoint graphic novel, Batman is in the Flashpoint universe. It's Thomas Wayne. And in Earth 1, before Barry, creates the Flashpoint universe, there's the Earth 1 Batman. So that's the story. So you've already got a couple of versions of Batman in the original graphic novel. But, to be clear, there's a reason they went with Michael Keaton's Batman instead of Thomas Wayne. Michael Keaton is an iconic Batman. They needed something to get people to watch this movie. That is how they get people to this movie, Michael Keaton. And we all question how they would promote this movie, and some of the promotional things I've seen already are a lot to do with Michael Keaton. Andy Muschietti in an interview. Now what we're seeing is lots of pre-recorded interviews that they did a long time ago for the marketing and for the Blu-ray, DVD, 4K extras as well. Andy Muschietti saying he loved growing up watching Michael Keaton's Batman. It's a big deal for him to get to direct Michael Keaton as Batman. And in fact, one of the interviews I saw, that Andy Muschietti said as soon as Michael Keaton saw how they made up the Batcave, he actually took a few photos and sent them to Tim Burton, which is pretty epic. So even though I could be very cynical and say, well, Michael Keaton's in it just to, get us to go and watch the movie. Well, I'm falling for that marketing already, because guess what? I love Michael Keaton. I love Michael Keaton in the Flash movie. It's a great performance. We'll get to him very, very, very shortly. But also, I did see a test screening of Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. I saw the test screening with Michael Keaton's Batman in it. Now, clearly, that's going to be cut from that movie now, because since James Gunn's come in, Michael Keaton is now not going to be the main Batman, but he was excellent in Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Of course, there are rumours, even Jason Momoa said a few months ago, maybe Ben Affleck and Michael Keaton are both in that movie. Considering the bad test screenings for that movie, maybe they will use that to sucker people to go and watch the movie. Who knows? That would be really awesome. Because all I can say to you is, Michael Keaton is awesome in the Flash movie, and even more awesome, if it's possible, in Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Anyway, now Sasha Calle is in this movie, as we just discussed earlier, and she plays Kara Zor-El, aka Supergirl. She plays the Flashpoint version. Now, originally, Underwater Armada, the idea was for her to be the main Supergirl in the brand new universe. Well, I can say to you now, I've got more chance of playing Supergirl in James Gunn's brand new DC Universe's Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow movie than Sasha Calle has. But who knows? This is Hollywood. If this film does really well and Sasha really resonates with the audience, anything's possible. I just don't see her being James Gunn's Supergirl, but of course I could be mistaken about that. On Sasha Calle's performance as Kara Zor-El and Supergirl, she's absolutely outstanding. She delivers a very relatable, powerful performance, and even though I'm not happy with her replacing Henry Cavill's role in this film, because basically that's what she was doing, and she was going to replace Henry Cavill in the DCEU. After the Flash movie, the DCEU was not going to have a Superman. Basically, we were going to have a Supergirl and not a Superman, as far as I know, which is really, really bad. I don't like that. I think that's utterly problematic, and they were going to have an Elseworld Black Superman. But anyway, that's not on Sasha Calle. That's not Sasha Calle's fault, and she gives a brilliant performance. I like what they do with Supergirl in this movie. It's great, it's emotional, it's compelling, and there's a sequence you're going to really enjoy with her, Keaton's Batman, and Ezra Miller's The Flash. Lots of fun, especially when they break her out from where she is. Remember, this is a non-spoiler review, but there's some things because of trailers that you guys should already know. So she's absolutely fantastic in this movie. There's lots of supporting cast members in this movie that do incredibly well. So just to remind you of the plot of this movie, Barry Allen goes back in time using his Speed Force abilities to change his mother's death, so his mother doesn't die obviously, and his dad doesn't end up in prison for her murder. By doing this, he changes the timeline and creates a paradox. He creates a Flashpoint universe. And basically, what we're going to see in this movie, or what you're going to see when you actually go to see it, because most of you haven't seen this movie, I mean, most people haven't seen this movie, have they? They're going to tread in the Man of Steel movie. The difference is there's no Man of Steel in the moments that they tread in. So here's a spoiler alert for you, if you didn't know this, and you should know this, that Michael Shannon's General Zod reprises his role in this movie, and so does the lady who played Fiora. I can't pronounce her name, so I'm not going to murder her. I think that's the best way to respect her and her name. So there's a lot of fun cameos in this movie. This movie is around 2.5 hours long. The music, the score in this movie, look, you can keep your mixtapes all day. I love a great score. There's nothing like a great composed score. There's a lot of music in this film, and most of it is composed music. The score is beautiful. Benjamin, whose surname I also can't pronounce, so we're not going to murder that one either, but he does a really good job. He did an excellent job scoring the first Shazam movie. Fury of the Gods really missed his dulcet tones, if you ask me. And so you've got brilliant emotional elements in this film. You've got cameos. There's lots of canonical DCEU like Easter eggs in this movie as well, but not just for the DCEU, but like from other movies that are not part of the DCEU. There's going to be a lot of surprises for you in this movie, but the actual story is very tight. The action, the CGI is absolutely stunning. Watching the two Flashes use their abilities, it's stunning on the big screen, and I would suggest that you go and watch it on IMAX if you can, because visually this is a really stunning movie. But this movie is a great time. It's a great summer blockbuster. It's a great superhero movie, and very shortly I will give you my new top 5 DCEU ranking with The Flash in there, and I haven't been reactive in where I've placed it. I've been honest where I think it ranks with my other favourite top 4 DCEU movies. But yeah, you're going to get a lot of emotional relatability in this movie. There's a lot of hype in this movie. There's a lot of adrenaline in this movie. So you're going to get hyped with the action. It does suck you in. Now, let's have a bit more of an extended conversation about Michael Keaton's Batman, who really is the reason a lot of people want to see this movie. That's not a bad thing on Ezra Miller. That's not a bad thing on Andy Muschietti. They did their role beautifully. Everyone on this film does a great job. There's no weak element of the people who made the film or starred in the film. But Michael Keaton is a Batman most people love. I think even if you love Batfleck or another version of Batman, you can admit Michael Keaton, in terms of cinematically, did it first. And when he was cast, everyone lost their shit. I didn't really have a strong opinion about his casting at the time. I was very, very young. I'd never heard of him. I'd never seen Beetlejuice. I didn't know who the fuck Michael Keaton was. I saw a picture of him. I thought, this dude looks okay. But I didn't know him as an actor. But I did see lots of clips of Beetlejuice at the time when they were talking about the casting on the news. And I thought, well, this guy looks really, really talented. I'll go with it. And I loved him. I think his better performance was in Batman Returns rather than Batman 89. Now, I love Batman 89, but I think Batman Returns is a much better movie. Now, that's not a popular thing to say, but I think Batman Returns is the movie that Tim Burton prefers over Batman 89 as well. You'll be surprised to hear that even Tim Burton has many, many issues with Batman 89. But Batman Returns was the movie that he wanted to make. But like Zack Snyder, because it was the movie he wanted to make, it was the movie that got him fired from the rest of the franchise, which was a big shame. He did want to make a third and a fourth Batman movie. It was the studio that didn't want him to do it. So Michael Keaton's performance in the Flash movie is absolutely outstanding. This guy is around late 70s, early 80s, whatever he is. I mean, I may be doing him a disservice. Maybe he's in his early 70s. I don't know his exact age, but I will tell you, like Harrison Ford in the latest Indiana Jones film, The Dial of Destiny. Now, the film is problematic, but Harrison is outstanding in that film. And when you see these iconic actors, I mean, imagine being an old man, imagine being 80 years old, running around, screaming out dialogue. I can tell you, I stand on a stage screaming out dialogue. It's very energy sapping. And I'm 50 and healthy. Well, maybe I'm not. But who knows? Yeah, but I should be more healthier than a 70, 80-year-old man, right? So, what Keaton's doing in this movie, because yes, a lot of it is CGI for the action and stunt doubles. I get that. But a lot of the stuff, you can tell some of the stuff he's doing himself. He looks absolutely cool in the Batman costume. Now, they're getting him to recite his classic sayings. Now, some people think that's a bit cringe. Look, it's something that the fans would want to see. So this is going to make the fans happy. Now, personally, I didn't like the way he delivered, you want to get nuts, let's get nuts. You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. But he did it that way. So his performance is riveting. It's brilliant. It's very interesting what happens to him as a character and how we see him kind of leave the movie and Sasha Calle because of the original plan of Michael and Sasha turning up in the brand new universe that Walter Marder was setting up. So it kind of how they leave the Flashpoint universe was more how they end their sequences in the Flashpoint universe made sense with the original idea. Because I don't want to give spoilers away, but a lot of you knows what happens to them anyway. And I've probably already mentioned it, but I don't want to do it on this video. And so because they've been cut from the end of the movie, because they've been cut and they're not in a new universe, the problem is they're just gone. They're just gone, and it doesn't really, for me, it doesn't really make sense. For me, it doesn't spoil the movie when I think about it, because I haven't seen the theatrical version, and other people will be able to inform you more about how it seems in the theatrical version. The Flash is a very strange movie because maybe it won't have anything to do with James Gunn's DC universe. It sets up a new timeline. Now, how does it set up a new timeline? Because I know what happens, and I know how they set up the timeline. Well, you shouldn't expect much detail of James Gunn's new DC universe, but you will get a kind of... It's interesting, that's what I'm going to say without giving spoilers, but it will set up the new timeline without giving you many details on it. A little bit of a cliffhanger, if you ask me, and I'm a big fan of cliffhangers. I always hated those endings on my favourite TV shows as a kid in the 80s, or in a film where it's all happy and it's all contrived happiness rather than leaving it on the edge of the ledge. I remember growing up watching the Flash, Golden, black and white serials, and it always finished on a cliffhanger. I loved that. I was raised on the cliffhanger. So this is a very, very, very good movie. But where does it rank in terms of other CBMs? You know, as we keep on saying on this channel, and people say it all over social media, art, entertainment is subjective. To you over there, you're going to think it's the bestest CBM ever. To you over there, you may think it's not a very good film or it's problematic. You may even have a problem with the third and final act. That person over there may think it's, you know, it's better than fucking The Godfather or something. That would be a crazy opinion, but everyone has different opinions. I think that's what social media has taught us. Social media is the ultimate social experiment, because you'll see people saying outrageous things. Sometimes they just say outrageous things for attention, and sometimes they say outrageous things because they actually believe those outrageous things. I really enjoyed the test screening of Andy Muschietti's The Flash. Let's talk about Andy Muschietti, the director. I don't envy Andy Muschietti making this film. This is a film, I'm going to get into Christina Hodson, who wrote Bumblebee, Birds of Prey, and she wrote the Flash movie as well, and we'll get into how she did with her writing. But let's talk about Andy. Andy directed the shit out of this movie. Andy, listen, I won't hear anything bad said about Andy. Andy had a lot of challenges. This is not really Andy's movie. Kind of visually, it's Andy's movie, right? Andy brought in Zack Snyder's VFX people, DJ, Des Jardin, and his team. And I think that was the right decision, because they are some of the best in the business. And I think that, as I say, the VFX, the CGI in this film is absolutely outstanding. There is no question about that. But the cinematography in this film is absolutely stunning, and it's pretty clear that, you know, Andy Muschietti, who hasn't got a huge CV, did It Chapter 2 and another movie. He hasn't done a lot of movies in the industry. So could Andy Muschietti have a future? Well, Andy Muschietti's role, as I say, is someone... Basically, this is a situation where the director got directed. He didn't write the movie, but he ran the movie visually. He's the one who called action. He's the one who told the actors where to stand. He's the one who made this movie the visual masterpiece that it is. So Andy Muschietti is beyond reproach. If you don't like the story or the pacing of this film, that's nothing to do with Andy Muschietti. That's on Christina Hodson, the writer. Let's talk about Christina. Christina is a very, very interesting character if you've ever spoken to her before. She's very excitable. She's very passionate. She actually does like... She is a nerd. She's a nerd, by the way. She's a great kid. Christina is a great kid. Now, I didn't mind Bumblebee. Birds of Prey, I didn't think she did a terrible job in writing. I think the themes, the third wave feminist themes in it, and what they were saying about men in the movie were problematic. But as a movie, I thought Birds of Prey was okay. They were solid. They were solid works by Christina. But I must say this quite genuinely. I think that the Flash movie is the best piece of work Christina Hodson has ever done. It pops. It's funny. It's ever so funny. It's emotional. It's hard to get all these kind of tones and feelings into your story. And it is difficult when a director is also not really involved in the storytelling. He's involved, Andy's involved in the visual storytelling. But in terms of, the writing, the story, the narrative, that's on Christina. I think Christina did an excellent job on this movie. Look, I think, let's talk about this. I think this is probably one of the better comic book movies from Marvel and DC made in a very long time. Now, I'm not talking about the Snyder Cut, because Snyder Cut was made in 2015, supposed to be released in 2017 or something, right? So I'm not adding that as a recent release. But when we look at Phase 4 and Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania of the MCU, I think when we look at the past 5 DC movies, that, let's be honest, haven't made a lot of money, and most of them didn't really stick in the memory, and that's including Christina's Birds of Prey, if I'm honest. But I did enjoy The Suicide Squad, by the way, even though it flopped in movie theatres. I think that was a really good film. And to say it's a bad film shows you about your bias, and is embarrassing for you. You have to admit that James Gunn is a really good director, even if you don't like James Gunn. So I would say, like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, this is one of the better CBMs. Is it one of the best CBMs ever made? Again, that's subjective. That's up to you. That's not up to me to be arrogant. I'm not Collider. I'm not this one. I'm not going to universally tell you what you should think. Go out there, support this DC movie. Because in terms of the actual film, I believe in terms of entertainment and putting something on the screen, their hearts were in the right place. In terms of reverse engineering Supergirl and, swapping Flashpoint Superman for Flashpoint Supergirl, I found that utterly problematic. But in terms of the actual movie, it's a very, very, very good movie, but it's not I wouldn't say it's one of the best CBMs ever made. Are you ready for my brand new top 5 DC Extended Universe ranking? So let's go. At number 1, it's Man of Steel. It's right, I've lined up the Blu-rays here. I don't know them off by heart, so yeah. Number 1, it's Man of Steel. Still my favourite DCEU movie. At number 2, it's Zack Snyder's Justice League. At number 3, it's Batman vs Superman Dawn of Justice. At number 4, it's Patty Jenkins and Zack Snyder's, Wonder Woman. The first Wonder Woman film comes in at number 4 in my DC Extended Universe ranking. And a new entry at number 5 is Andy Muschietti The Flash movie. It just gets in to my new top 5 DCEU ranking. What I'd like to know from people who have gone to the early fan screenings and maybe saw it at CinemaCon, do you agree with my new ranking? Would you have it in your DCEU top 5 at all? Would you have it higher? Where would you have it? Is it your number 1? Is it your favourite DC Extended Universe movie? Are you going to get all reactive on me? Get in the comments and let me know. So these are my thoughts about the Flash movie. This is how I felt about the test screening. But again, just to underline it, the theatrical cut is going to be very different to what I experienced in an early test screening. But because I had the advantage and the honour of going to see it early as a test screener, I thought I'd give my opinion on what I saw, considering that people have come out, they've just come out hot from the Flash movie advanced screenings and being really positive about the movie. Most people are. Anyway, I'd give you my thoughts again on the movie. I think no one can say this is a bad movie. I think that's one thing. This is not crap. This is not shit. This is not rubbish. Let's be absolutely clear. This is no Green Lantern. This is no Batman and Robin. This is a really, really good comic book movie. And a good movie for 2023, considering where we are in current world Hollywood today. And that Hollywood right now is at a standstill because of the Writers Guild of America strike as well. So this is a film that you can go. I think you're going to enjoy. I think there'll be levels of enjoyment for you. And no, it's not a perfect movie. And there's no such thing as a perfect movie. Even the greatest movies that have ever been made, like The Godfather, The Dark Knight, you know, films like that have still got flaws, have still got issues. They've just got less flaws and less issues. You know, art is made by human beings, and human beings have flaws. Everyone makes mistakes. But this, for me, is a really good time at the cinema. I will say that much to you. This has been Tuesday's edition of the DC Universe Daily with me, Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, smash the notification bell so you never miss this beautiful perfection. Smash the like button. If you love me, I know you do. Subscribe if you're new, and please have your say. I will be back tomorrow. Until I see you tomorrow, goodbye, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen.